This week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick.
What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Joe, the Juggernaut Joyce. Joe Joyce rates Usyk's power, and he states that his punches felt like slaps. He says, I remember when we fought, it was like stinging power. It wasn't thudding. I could feel the punches, like slaps. They're more stinging, yeah, faster and more stinging at the time. But I guess now he's put on more size, so there'll be more thudding, and he's knocked out people. He looked trim, yeah, that's good. He looks healthy and strong, swimming and stuff, so his cardio is probably good. Maybe he wants to be smaller for the speed. He was putting on size to maybe get more power, but then I don't know if the power was effective, so he might as well just be fast. Those are the words of Joe, the Juggernaut Joyce, and let me counterpunch. I remember the World Boxing Super Series. It was a unique series, actually. It was a cross between amateurs and pros because you had different gloves, but then yet you didn't have protection. Okay. And these guys went at each other for 5 hard fought rounds where Usyk, I think, was 210 pounds at the time, and Joe Joyce was 230. Okay. And Joyce, just like he is now, just trimmer, because I think he's put on an excess of 40 pounds, because I think he's like 265, 270, solid. Back then he was 230, of course, so he's a lot bigger now, but he was still massively active, okay? He was throwing punches in bunches, and he was able to, at times, push Oleksandr Usyk back. However, the durability of Usyk is what stuck out, along with the speed and the angles that he was hitting Joe Joyce with. Now, to be fair, I think Oleksandr Usyk was slapping with a lot of those punches because he just threw the shot. He really, I don't think, was aiming for pinpoint accuracy. I just think he was just trying to land off the pivot, off the counter, because Joe Joyce threw a lot of punches. So therefore, there was a lot of punches and a lot of opportunity to counter with his own shots. And that's really what the story of the fight was about. Usyk throwing behind the jab, countering behind Joe Joyce's jab or right hand, and in times just making the shot count, landing these shots, and ultimately winning the fight for Oleksandr Usyk because he was also actively busy, okay? Now, what Joe Joyce is really trying to say, I believe in a nice way, it's better to be fast than bulky because the punches really didn't hurt him as much, but they did sting. Go figure. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. The hands can't hit where the eyes can't see. Those type of things. And I think Joe Joyce is saying that, hey, he has slapping power then, but now maybe it's more thudding. Now, understand something. This is just a prediction of Joe Joyce about his power now. Okay, he hasn't fought Oleksandr Usyk in a very long time, and he's just imagining what his power would be like now. Okay, but he did say he couldn't imagine it being that hard. But then again, we're talking about the Juggernaut. We're not talking about any other fighter, any other guy's chin. We're talking about Joe Joyce's chin. All right, so Joe Joyce has been known for his punching durability and the power to take shots. Okay, and Usyk, I believe, is getting trimmer because he does need that speed. He does need to be more mobile because he's in there with a heavyweight or possibly Tyson Fury, which is going to be big and fast. And I think the same for Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury will come in slimmer, more trimmer, And because I know he doesn't need the roughhouse tactics. I think he needs to be more mobile. I think his gas tank needs to be full when dealing with someone like Usyk, because he knows and he anticipates Usyk using the ring, which he should anticipate, you know. But back to Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is a guy that is an anomaly at this point, but don't get it twisted, people. Joe Joyce has been knocked out before, so maybe he's rating those guys that put him down versus Oleksandr Usyk that couldn't. Okay, so that's another factor you have to put in the pot, right? And Joe Joyce is a guy that I believe will be a problem for anybody, you know, and good analysis for Joe Joyce because you can only respect what he rates his punching power. But stinging power also kept him back. I don't know how much, but it did keep him honest at times. Okay. He just didn't rush in and just overpower Alexander Usyk because he couldn't, because Usyk was able to use the ring and box around the busy, heavier, bigger guy. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Joe Joyce stating that Oleksandr Usyk's punches were like slaps. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.